Imagine it is the early 2000s. You are 17 years old, living in Switzerland, and you have a wealthy friend with Asian roots whom you often hang out with. Your friend has pretty much everything you could wish for at home, including a brand new PlayStation 2. You play the newly released GTA 3 together and wildly shoot at pedestrians. At one point, you even fire a tank cannon through the streets. All of this is, of course, just a game, at least for you. Without you ever suspecting it, the boy you are gaming with right now, and with whom you have been close friends for years, is actually someone who just a few years later will do things that would be too cruel even for a video game, like GTA. Because the boy you are friends with is none other than the next dictator of North Korea, Jong Un. That sounds so absurd it almost cannot be true. But in fact, Jong Un really was once a completely normal student at a completely normal German-speaking school. More precisely, the Liebefeld-Steinholzli School in Könitz, Switzerland. There, near the Swiss city of Bern in 1998, a new face is introduced to Class 6A. A small, shy Asian boy in a Nike tracksuit stands next to the teacher. He looks a bit nervous and avoids looking at the other children. The teacher senses that he is uncomfortable, calms him down a little, and then introduces him to the class. "This here, dear class," she says, "is Pak Un. He is your new classmate, and he is the son of a North Korean embassy diplomat." That this was not true would only officially become known to many of his classmates 20 years later. Pak is seated directly next to a Portuguese boy named João, and the two quickly become best friends. But at first, João also had no idea that Pak Un was actually called Kim Jong Un, and that he was in fact the son of Kim Jong Il, the ruler of North Korea, one of the most brutal dictatorships in the world. The fact that Kim Jong Un lived in Switzerland was an organizational masterpiece that required extreme coordination and even put some people in Kim's circle in mortal danger. Because in order to make sure no one noticed who Pak Un really was, a masterful deception was staged. Kim was not alone in Switzerland. He also had an entire family living there with him, under false names and with completely fake identities. This fake family settled with Kim in Liebefeld, a municipality near Bern. The neighborhood was not a typical Swiss fairy tale village, but Kim lacked nothing there. Kim's home in Bern was actually a cluster of several apartments on Kirchstrasse, number 10. It was a 3-story bright brick building that had only been newly constructed a short time earlier. A few years before, the North Korean government had purchased 6 apartments in this building for around 4 million Swiss francs, with the plan of secretly raising the children of the country's rulers there one day. And indeed, by the end of the 1990s, these apartments were fully occupied. Kim and his brother had moved in and turned the building into a kind of North Korean enclave in the Alps. However, the 2 children did not live with their parents. Instead, Kim's maternal aunt and uncle pretended to be their mother and father. Officially, Kim's uncle was a driver at the North Korean embassy under the name Pak Nam Chol. Kim's aunt Ko Young-suk kept her Korean maiden name as was customary. So outsiders assumed she was the boy's mother. Meanwhile, Kim Jong Un himself was registered as Pak Un, and his older brother as Pak Chol. The entire family posed as part of North Korea's UN mission in Geneva, essentially a kind of ambassadorial family. Kim's fake father drove the boys to school every morning as their chauffeur, and not just to any school. Before Kim attended the high school in Liebefeld, his father arranged for him to be taught at the International School of Bern, an elite school with annual tuition fees of 20,000 euros. Kim Jong Un's life as a 12-year-old boy looked almost like a dream from the outside. The North Korean child was given everything he wanted. Photo albums from that time show him swimming in the Mediterranean, visiting Disneyland in Paris, or skiing in the Swiss Alps. On weekends and during school holidays, his aunt and uncle took the boys to the best vacation destinations in Europe. The family regularly relaxed together in the most luxurious hotels in the country, which was also very practical because life in North Korea at that time was extraordinarily bleak. Which brings us to the reason why Kim went to Switzerland in 1996. It was not just about the good education. It was also about keeping Kim away from a devastating tragedy. Because in 1996, a horrific famine raged in North Korea. During this time, up to 3 million people died because they did not have enough food. This is exactly what makes Kim Jong Un's move and luxurious life in Switzerland so disturbing. Kim's own father, Kim Jong Il, had essentially brought about this famine himself through his policies. He insisted that North Korea had to feed itself, and 2 years earlier, when a catastrophe was already looming, he blocked all foreign aid. With the money Kim Jong-il hoarded for himself and his children, he could have prevented this disaster. Kim Jong Un apparently already knew that something about his life was not entirely normal while he was going to school in Switzerland. His classmates never heard him talk about his homeland or about politics. That was strictly taboo, even among friends. One classmate later said, "We argued about football, not about politics." In general, Kim was extremely quiet and reserved. His teachers remember him as a calm student who avoided the spotlight. He did not take part in school trips, and curiously, he completely avoided contact with girls. According to reports, he did not approach a single girl at school and was never seen flirting or dating. One female classmate noted that she never even had a complete conversation with him. Kim was therefore a kind of loner who kept his private life strictly secret. But if you look at his situation from the outside, you realize that he had no other choice. Had he said just one wrong word, misspoken once, or even hinted at the truth, it could have meant prison for his fake parents and the end of his fake life in Switzerland. He actually enjoyed this life. Among other things, he enjoyed it because besides his aunt and uncle, there was another person who made his pleasant life in Switzerland possible. His real mother, Ko Yong-hui. She is one of the most mysterious figures in North Korea and lived a life in the shadows. Little is known about her, but it is known that she visited her son repeatedly in Switzerland and was very important to the boy. Which brings us to the year 1998 and two fateful events. In that year, Kim's biological mother was diagnosed with a tumor in its final stage. She only had a few years left to live. This devastating development turned the young Kim's world completely upside down. He was not only at risk of losing his mother, but his aunt and uncle, who were after all Kim's most important caregivers, suddenly faced a terrible dilemma. They owed the fact that they were allowed to live there with him instead of in desperately poor North Korea solely to Kim's mother. Only on her instructions were they allowed to move to Switzerland. If Kim's mother died, Kim's aunt and uncle might have had to return to North Korea, possibly living in great poverty and perhaps even starving. And so things took a very bitter turn for Kim. On May 17, 1998, without telling their fake son a single word, his aunt and uncle fled to the American embassy and applied for asylum in the United States. They told the embassy everything about who they really were, but they left out one thing, that they were in Switzerland to look after Kim Jong Un. In this way, they protected the boy and his brother. But Kim Jong Un was now almost completely alone. His aunt and uncle successfully escaped, and shortly afterward, they led a completely ordinary small-town life in the United States, where they ran a laundromat. After this shock, Kim Jong Un returned to Pyongyang for the first time in the summer of that year, partly because his father feared that his son might also try to flee via an embassy. But despite this traumatic experience, the boy eventually had to return to Switzerland. There, however, Kim refused to return to his old school, presumably because he wanted to forget the memories of his old life there, and because his classmates would quickly have noticed that his parents had suddenly disappeared. His family now consisted only of his severely ill mother, who could hardly take care of him, and a few North Korean agents who were supposed to monitor him. And this is where we come back to the beginning of our video and to Kim Jong-un's first days at the Liebefeld-Steinhölzli Gymnasium, a completely normal public school, where classes were taught in German. Kim did not speak German at all, even though he had lived in German-speaking Switzerland, so he first had to attend a reception class, together with his best friend Joao, who also barely spoke German. The two sat together constantly, and as Joao later recalled, the quiet Korean boy gradually opened up to him. Over the years, the two spent a lot of time together. Joao spent half his youth in Kim's luxurious apartments. The two played video games together and enjoyed their youth. But then, one day in 2001, something incredible happened. Kim met Joao at a bus stop and suddenly told him everything about his life. He told him that his name was not Jong Un and that he was not the son of a diplomat, but the son of the leader of North Korea. He also told him that he had received a phone call the day before and that he had to leave the country. His father needed him as North Korea's successor. As Joao later explained, Kim literally said, "I might have to take over my country." After that, Joao did not see Kim for years. From one day to the next, he simply stopped coming to school, and even the police were alerted because of his disappearance, until he finally, at just 28 years old, stepped onto the grand podium of the People's Palace and was declared the new great leader of North Korea. Curiously, years later, Joao was invited by Kim Jong Un personally to North Korea. The Portuguese man received a one-week luxury tour of the country and then had dinner together with his former best friend. The two reportedly hugged, and according to Joao, it felt just like old times again.